What's up everyone? Thanks for tuning in to part 2 of my S1000RR track day build. We have a lot to cram into today's episode, so let's get to it. Rear sets. The second thing I did was I installed my homemade bracket for the rear tail section. I repositioned my PC5 on top of my lithium-ion battery, and I installed some heat tape on the radiator hose on this side and the other side. There's about, I don't know, an inch or so clearance. I just thought that was a little close, so just to be sure, it may not even make a difference, but I installed that on there. And then I just cleaned up some wires. Oh, I almost forgot. I removed the front sprocket side cover and the wiring harness to the side stand. And the reason I did that is, so I'll have quick, easy access to the front sprocket should I want to make a gearing change. And as well, I'm still not sure if I'm going to keep the side stand on there or not, but I installed the simulator, which is here, so I don't get any error codes and so forth. And that's all I did off camera. So let's get to the other stuff. Welcome back everyone. Today we're going to be doing a lot of maintenance on the bike. These are things that aren't necessarily required for a track day, or specific to a track day I should say, but they should be done anyway. The last thing you want to do is put your bike out on a track and subject it to high speeds and the abuse that a track can put on your bike without making sure the things like your oil, your coolant, your fork fluid, all of those things are taken care of. So today we're going to do a lot of that. We're going to start by changing our oil and filter. We're going to be installing our Moto D drain plug, magnetic drain plug that's already pre-drilled for being wire tied. We are going to clean and oil our chain. We're going to adjust the slack if it needs any. We are going to put on our front racing brake pads because right now we just have daily regular brake pads on there, and they will overheat and fade within 2 or 3 laps on the track, so we're going to replace those. We're also going to replace our fork fluid because it hasn't been changed in quite a while. We got a lot to do. So when you remove the filter, oil gets all over your headers and everything, and it's a complete mess. So what I like to do is I like to cover the headers in just some Reynolds wrap. It's literally the Reynolds wrap that your mom and your wife or whomever has in the kitchen. Just take a piece and wrap it around the headers. So you can see that I have it wrapped around the headers here, the oil filter. So just wrap it around the headers. So any oil will drop down on onto the Reynolds wrap, and then we'll just remove the Reynolds wrap. That's really it. The other thing is I don't know why people over-torque their oil filter. I mean, I've seen people have to drive screwdrivers through the thing and then turn it. It's hand tight, people. It doesn't need to be, see? It doesn't need to be wrenched on there. Don't do that. Just removing the drain plug here. Now my bike is already warm. It's Arizona, so my garage stays about 120 degrees. Although it's a nice day, it's only about 95 today. But your bike is cold, you probably want to heat it up. But make sure that when you put the Reynolds wrap on your headers, that the bike's not hot. Otherwise that shit'll melt, so don't do that. I'm going to go over the other side here and remove the fill cap so it'll drain quicker. And now I'm going to remove the oil filter. And you'll see that mine is hand tight. There's no wrenching involved here. Just spin the thing off. Put your hand and put it back on there hand tight. gonna let that drain for a second. And here we have our OEM oil filter. And we're going to use a hose clamp. Bring this in here. We're going to use a hose clamp. We're going to tighten this on here, and then I'll show you that it'll butt up against a little stop or a little nub on the engine casing, and that'll keep this from backing out. We don't actually have to wire tie it. Spin this on here by hand. Cross thread this. Very unhappy camper if you do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this hose clamp, slide it over here, and there's a little nub. Bring this on here. This little nub right here. We're just going to rotate this, butt this up against there, and then tighten it down. There we go. Let's put some oil in it. Okay, now we're over on the right side of the bike and we're going to fill it with oil. I like Mobil 1 1040 full synthetic. The manual calls for a 5W40 full synthetic. I like 1040. That's just me. It's easy. Everyone has it, and I don't have to worry about not finding whatever. We're supposed to fill 3.5 liters, which is about 3.7 quarts. So we're going to start with 3 and go from there. Now, seeing the bike is apart, I won't be able to start the bike and recheck the proper level. So when everything's back together, I'll do that. So I'll pump in, like I said, about 3.7 quarts or so here based on the fill line over there, and then it will sit, and then once everything is back together, I will properly check the oil level. So that's 3. I'm just going to walk around here and check the sight glass right now. And you can see that we're close there on the sight glass, but again, we haven't started the bike. So that's about where we're supposed to be right now. As you can see, we are full. So what you would normally do now is start the bike, let it come up to temperature, and then recheck and top off as needed. But like I said, we'll do that later once the bike is all back together. Now on to the next thing. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to remove the front wheel and the front forks so that we can change the fork fluid and we can replace our front brake pads. For that, we're going to want to get the bike up off of both wheels, so we're going to bring in my paddock side stand here. holes up there. You don't want them to hang.
I've let my forks drain now for about 2 hours or so. So I'm not going to get all of the fluid out, but I think I got a good amount out. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to fill them. So I got about 500 cc's. You can see that. I marked it right there. I got about 500 cc's out of the fork leg, and that's what we're going to put back in it. I'm using Bel-Ray 10-weight oil. So I'm going to clean my measuring cup here. And all I'm going to do here is fill this back up to that mark. fork leg. And slowly pour this back in here. Go. Okay. See it? That's it. I'm now going to clean the fork leg and we're going to oil or grease the dust seal here. I'm just going to get some multi-purpose wheel bearing grease here. Nothing special. And this is just some simple soap and water, basically, that I use for cleaning my, I know it says glass cleaner, but it's actually wheel cleaner. Just going to clean this up here. I'll get some simple green to clean off the bottom. Now we are going to remove the dust seal. Go. Take a little bit of, not that much. Slide this back down. Okay, this one's all done. We'll do the same thing the other one and then put them back on the bike.
removed as much of the old brake material as we can. And now we're going to reinstall the wheel. So we're going to grease up our axle and install the wheel. Let's install our performance friction brake pads. So the last thing we're going to do here today is we're going to install our K&N air filter. So this was it's not a new air filter, it's one I had in here, but off camera I took it out, cleaned it. It's been drying for several days now and I re-oiled it. So it's ready to go back in. to call it a wrap. We almost got everything done that we wanted to today. We didn't get to the wire tying of items, but not a problem. We'll do that later. But thank you again for tuning in to part 2 of my S1000RR track day build. Be sure to tune into part 3 where we actually get to the fun stuff. I'm going to set up a temporary paint booth in here, and we're going to actually get to priming and painting and sanding and doing all that good stuff to the fairings, and get to install this stuff and so forth. So I'm Derek. Well, I'm a sweaty Derek because it's hot as hell in here. But I'm Derek. This is Euro Superbike Life. Thanks for tuning in.